7:44, we're back. Wednesday's BT and a nice chance to celebrate community impact. Constable Ian MacDonald, the face of the Abbotsford Police Department, celebrating over 8 years as the Public Information Officer. Congratulations to you. So many moments. I think about your role. I think about what we've seen in the news, the power of moments, the good, the bad, and the unthinkable. But for you, when you stepped into this role, back in 2009, what was your initial defining moment of, this is the new arena where I have to operate?
Yeah, there were a lot of moments along the way. I mean, it's the nature of the job, but I think all police media people will have that regrettably tragic moment that they have to deal with, which will essentially either make or break them. And, you know, in 2009, we were dealing with a lot of gang issues, a lot of homicides, regrettably. We were the homicide capital of Canada, or the galaxy, or whatever. And at that time, we had 2 young high school students who were abducted and murdered. And so, you know, for me, less than a month on in the job, that was the first tragedy of many, unfortunately, that I had to deal with along the way. There were many happy moments as well, but certainly part of the challenge of being the police media relations officer is you're normally dealing with really serious events, and oftentimes they're tragic.
You did also an amazing job of bringing a lightheartedness to your job when that was appropriate. One of the ways you did that was with your annual Christmas cards. Such creative spirit, but were you nervous about trying things that were outside of the box? Did any of those Christmas cards ever make you nervous?
I personally wasn't nervous. First of all, I liked sort of those cutting-edge things. I liked pushing the envelope a little bit. But more importantly, our boss really embraced that. And so when you have a boss that's fearless and he's very empowering, it makes your job great. And no matter what you do, if you have a great boss, you have a great job. And so Bob Rich was just fantastic to me. I truthfully would love to stay in this position maybe forever. That's not going to happen, but I have absolutely nothing but gratitude. That guy was so good to me, and he made my job so easy. I would go down to his office and try to say, I think I screwed up today, boss. I said this. And he would just look at me and go, yeah, so let's move on.
Well, you had support with your boss, but you also had support with your family. Your wife Joanne's here off camera, but following your story, I mean, you are a family man. And how do you, over the years, how are you able to bring your family into this experience, especially your kids, and explain the role when, you know, things are good, it's easy, but when things are bad, that is hard to comprehend at such a young age?
It is. So if I can, I'll tell 2 stories. First of all, my mother-in-law, when she heard I was a media guy, you kids are too young, but way back in the day, she's a retired teacher. So when she heard I was a media guy, she thought I was the guy that would move up and down the hallway with the cart with the projector on it, which probably would have been a good gig too, really, honestly. The flip side, though, was, you know, when you're dealing with these tragic circumstances and your work phone would go off. When I started in this, my son was 7. And probably by the time he was 7.5, when my BlackBerry would ring, he would say, Daddy, you better get that, because somebody's probably dead. And that's like a real grounding moment for you. The flip side is, the kid was right. It's normally some kind of tragic circumstance, and without the support of my family, I don't know, you know, how I would have coped along the way, because there's a lot of stuff that builds up when you are, you know, having to meet with tragedy. But more specifically, it's always people that are behind the story, right? So it's engaging with people, it's trying to provide comfort, it's being compassionate. It's being human, really, right?
Well, and of course, one of the biggest tragedies that you and the force had to deal with last year was the death of one of your own. What did you learn about community spirit during that time?
I appreciate the question. I have been fortunate, and all of the members of APD are fortunate, that we live in an amazing community. And I think we didn't even realize the magnitude of the caring and compassion of the people that we serve. Until those very tragic circumstances. I always felt that we were fortunate to police in an area like that where there was so much community support, but this was really, I mean, over the top. It was more than anyone could ever want or ever anticipate, for sure.
You carry on the legacy even though you stepped down. Your official last day as Public Information Officer was end of December, correct?
Yes.
Your support for organizations continues, Kids Sport, and I know there was another tragic loss, that being Aiden Sierra. Tell us about Aiden for those that don't know, and how people can help today.
Yeah, so January 3rd would have been Aiden's 20th birthday, and this guy, absolutely remarkable. And for those that don't know, Mike Sierra is the deputy chief of the Abbotsford Police Department, and he was really holding everybody together when the John Davidson tragedy took place. I can speak for myself. He was coming and checking on me on a regular basis. And then a week later, his son dies in a tragic car crash. And so you can imagine, as an organization and as people, we were really struggling. But I can tell you, I'm not an insider to the Sear family, but when we went to the memorial, you got an impression about this young man. I mean, he was a hero, and the things that he was doing were kindness and compassion based. And so the Sear family has asked that today people embrace a random act of kindness in memory of Aiden, and I can't think of anything better than that. And so to that end, I've got a couple things here. I brought some John Davidson commemorative T-shirts for everybody here, so hopefully that gets some wear from you, and you can fly the flag for us and be part of our family. And then the other family that I belong to and plays a big role in my life is kid sport. So I brought a little scarf that I can throw on my neck. But more importantly, I'm asking if anybody is looking for a random act of kindness, support their local kid sport chapter. It allows kids to make positive choices through sports, and those who are from families who are economically challenged, we pay the registration fees, which I think is that paying it forward kind of thing.
Well, you're making it easy for everyone this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you on BT.
Thank you so much.